Hello, I'm Julia Hartman from the Bantax National Accountants Group. Welcome to Wednesday webinar, and today I'm coming to you from the Calliope River facing east, and hopefully you can see the mist over the river. Yes, this is in northern Queensland. Well, probably not quite. It's near Gladstone. Today I'd like to talk to you about section 118192, which is the market value reset rule on your main residence. It's important to examine the fact that it's a compulsory reset. So, what happens with 118192 is if a property has been your home the whole time you've owned it up until the stage that you rent it out, that is your home and you've covered it by your main residence exemption for the whole time you've owned it up until the stage you rented it out, then its cost base is reset to the market value at the date you did this. Now, if you used your home to produce income while you were living there, that doesn't qualify because only part of the home was covered by your main residence exemption. So when it was first used to produce income back then, it would have triggered the reset, and that's another story. But anyway, what concerns me about this section number for people in areas where the value of properties have gone down is that it's compulsory reset. So if you were in Moranbah, northern Queensland, where properties have reportedly gone from $1 million to $100,000, or what I could say from experience in Mackay is I've seen them get halve in price. So if you say you're in Mackay and the property's gone down in value, halved in value because there's people are losing their jobs in the mines, though this is the story, though all my clients are still employed, maybe had to go back as contractors, so I don't think it's as bad as they say. But nevertheless, there's an oversupply of houses in Mackay because they suddenly started building them when they just before things went bad, and before then there was a terrible shortage, so prices were ridiculous then. So what you've got is this problem, people leaving town because they need to go to WA or whatever for work, and they're renting out their home. Now if they do that, then automatically the market value reset rule kicks in, whether it suits them or not. So they might have paid $500,000 for it, it's now worth $250,000, and that's their new cost base if they rent it out when they move out to go to WA. So when they go to sell it, assuming they buy a house in WA and they use their main residence exemption over there, so they're not using the 6-year rule to continue to cover that home with their main residence exemption, when they go to sell it, the market might fully recover and get back to the $500,000 they paid. Now, that's probably the best they can hope for. So they've made now a capital gain of $250,000 according to the way the tax law works. That's back to exactly where it was when they bought it, but because of that market value reset rule, they're going to pay tax on $250,000. Very important to avoid triggering this. On the other end of the scale, people that think they were relying on it do something that means they slip up and they don't get it. So let's have a look at how you don't trigger it. You've got to cover it with your main residence exemption right up to the date that you use it to produce income. Now, I wouldn't try splitting hairs here and say, oh, well, it took a week to get tenants or something like that. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting you move your main residence exemption elsewhere, expose it to capital gains tax so you don't trigger this event. Leave it vacant when you go to WA maybe for 6 months and not rent it out. And you have got a choice then, once you're not living there, to say that it's not your main residence, so say it's not covered. It might be worth it than have this terrible reset kick in. It depends on your particular circumstances. There's a lot to consider. I'd like to think this is just a warning to people where the prices drop dramatically. Get advice first. And for people who think they're relying on the market value reset rule, make sure you do get that quick turnaround that you've moved out, but you've rented it straight out. If there's a gap, you won't get the market value reset. And that means you go back to calculating the capital gain for all the time you live there. You won't be taxed on that part because it's pro rata, but it's the records and all that sort of stuff. But most importantly, if you have a property that has gone down in value and you're about to rent it out, please get advice. Thank you for staying till the end, and I hope you've enjoyed the scenery in the background, and hope this was informative, and hope to see you next week.